Hello. I'm pleased to say that I'm able to do a video in such since the last week. I can't believe it. I'm sort of trying to blurt the words out, and I can't get them out as I'd love to. So bear with me on that. So for my regular viewers who watch the video on the RF Dare, which is those 7 politicians who died mysteriously before the local elections in Germany, to the RF Dare party, which stands for Alternative for Deutschland. And I mentioned that there was a book that I'd ordered that I wanted to show, but because I had to order it from the United States, it would take a while to get to the UK, and of course it did. But now that I have it, I'd like to discuss it. So the book in question is Richard Belzer and David Wayne, and it's called The Hit List, an in-depth investigation into the mysterious deaths of witnesses to the JFK assassination. Now, when I talked about the RF Dare, I'm sure at some point there will be a book about these mysterious deaths. And apparently there were other deaths 2 weeks before the local elections that we don't know of, or at least I don't. But anyway, and it also reminds me of the Marc Dutroux. For anyone that were around in the 90s will know who Marc Dutroux was, because he was known as the Belgian monster, because he would kidnap kids off the street and hide them away in safe houses in dungeons, and farm them out to the elites, which I'm even now just talking about it makes me feel uneasy about it, because it's such a dreadful thing. But anyway, at that time when it went to trial, there were 30 witnesses who mysteriously died. They died through heart attacks, strokes, car accidents, drowning, natural causes, and unexplained deaths, which makes you realise there's a lot going on that we won't ever get to see, or those that do get to see it, like those that are prepared to do the research. Now, I know of one YouTuber whose name I can't recall, who actually looks for the original reports by the BBC, by Channel 4, by ITN, and local reports of his own country, because apparently he comes from Belgium. And he had a really good YouTube channel, and he would collect all these old reports as they were broadcast, and then not only for his channel to be pulled. Now he's looking to re-upload a lot of his material. So I'd really be interested in the Marc Dutroux case, because I remember it back in the 90s that it was all over the news. It was, you could not know who Marc Dutroux was at that time, because it was such a scandal, and how badly the police investigated, and how they were the government was trying to cover it all up, which is a tragedy, because you want your government to be straight as a die. You don't want them to be corrupted, and clearly they were, and perhaps continue to be. Anyway, so here's the book that I ordered from the United States, and I just got it today. It's Richard Belzer and David Wayne, The Hit List, an in-depth investigation into the mysterious deaths and witnesses of the JFK assassination. Now, I'll read a few bits because it says you get a good overview of the book. Here it says, I've had enough, and I suspected that if you are holding this book in your hands right now, that you also have had enough of their lies, encroachment upon civil liberties. And then it's got a fascinating book, incredibly detailed. It's definitely well worth reading. Piers Morgan. You cannot make it up. And then it says, everyone knows that Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald in Dallas 2 days after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. What most don't know is that many other men and women who have some connection to the assassination also died suspicious deaths. Were they killed like Oswald was, to tie up loose ends in a massive conspiracy plot? Were their deaths coincidental? Here's some more. Anybody can commit suicide, but it takes an expert to... No, beg your pardon, I misspoke. Anybody can commit a murder, but it takes an expert to commit a suicide. Legendary CIA asset Bill Coulson, who held a unique close position to the highest and darkest echelons of the Central Intelligence Agency, which is the CIA. Here's another quote. People are eliminated. Honey, you don't know how many people are just eliminated, just on the operating table alone. They just need to be disposed of. And don't ever believe what you read in the papers. It's all made up. That's by Joe Shimon, a professional assassin and deep cover operative who, for decades, did the dirty work of the permanent government of the US military and intelligence, and who finally divulged the above facts to his daughter late in his life. Here's another quote. Someday we will read that I've been killed in an accident, but don't believe it. I've been murdered. This is by William Sullivan, high-ranking member of the FBI, head of Division 5, Counter-Espionage and Domestic Intelligence, who was officially killed in a hunting accident shortly thereafter. And the final quote, all I know is that witnesses with vital evidence in the case are bad insurance risks. That's by the New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison, who asked about all the deaths and witnesses who had been sought for testimony. And that says it all, really, that last quote. Because if you don't have these people turning up to these inquiries, you don't get all the evidence, and therefore it's easily swept under the table. So they have assassins, people, that will go out and kill these people, whoever it is that they want out of the way. I mean, Dr. David Kelly, if anybody remembers Dr. David Kelly from the second Gulf War, the war in Iraq, where he mysteriously, so they say, committed suicide. It is troubling, really, when you look into it. But I believe the best way and the only way is really to do your own research, and one of the best ways you can do that is by reading books such as these that will actually get to the bottom of it as far as determined, because I'm sure they'll make mistakes somewhere along the line, and there'll be witnesses that died naturally. There was nothing underhand or dark about their death. It was the cause of death was natural, and that's the end of it. But I'm sure there are many others that weren't, and there's a term they use now called suicided, where they actually somebody committed suicide by two bullet shots in the head. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, Richard Belzer and David Wayne, The Hit List. Now, moving on, I've got a book here that, again, this is relatively new. I just got this. It says Beziehungen der Deutschen Demokratischen Republik, zu Bundesrepublik Deutschland und zu Berlin West. So this is documents that were sent not from West Germany into the old East Germany, rather it's the other way around. It's from East Germany into West Germany. So it'd be really interesting to actually see what it is that they actually say. Now, this book will be bone dry. There is, you know, I haven't got the experience, I say that, I haven't got the experience of actually reading German documents, whereas like English documents I have, but not German documents, and especially documents that actually came from East Germany. And here this says Dokumente, which is documents, 1971 to 1988, so that's a year before the fall of the Berlin Wall. So there's a lot there, but I'm sure there were lots been redacted, lots been destroyed, lots been perhaps stolen, documents been stolen that are in private hands, and they'll never see the light of day. I doubt I'll be able to do it, and you know, I'd really need to have, you know, 2 years of just practicing German, just reading German, watching German television, watching German films, just having and also German grammar, which is very important in order for me to master a book such as this. But I'm glad to have it because as some of my viewers are well aware that I have a passion for documents. This book was very, very difficult to get. By that I mean, when I ordered the book, and I looked online, I could see that they said that they delivered it, but they couldn't deliver it because I wasn't at home, and that the courier service wanted me to collect it from their depot, and so what I did was I said I just wanted a refund because it was just too much hassle, too much problem. And then all of a sudden I had a knock on my door. It was the courier. They said, "Here's the package." I opened up the package and this book arrived, and I'd never have thought I would have got it. And then they said they called it a pamphlet. This is clearly not a pamphlet. This is a serious book. So if I had that belief that it was a pamphlet, and then the next seller wants to sell it for £30, well, I'm not going to buy it, you know. But so that's why I'm really glad to be holding up this book, and you know, at some point I'd like to review it. So that pretty much concludes this short video. I really wanted to do this video because of that book, the Hit List book, because as I say, when I did the last video for the AfD and those 7 MPs that died mysteriously, I mentioned that particular book, and now that I have it, I thought I would do a video. So alles Gute, auf Wiedersehen und bitte fall nicht nieder.